We are rolling.
Hey there, everybody. My name is Josh Thomas. This is Tobin Brogunier with the Main Street Business Alliance, and we're talking about Google today. And this is something that impacts a lot of local businesses in rural areas, and that's somebody that we work with exclusively. So we stay out of large towns, big box stores, national chains. We don't really work with those a whole lot. But what we really focus on is Main Street businesses, people that are relying on foot traffic. And so one of the things that we're battling against right now is Google. Google is kind of our best frenemy, right, Tobin?
Yes, perfect.
So it's one of those things that we need it, but we also are fighting against it at the same time. So could you walk through some of the reasons that people might want to know about Google, and then we'll talk about some of the reasons that it may not be in your best interest to get in bed with them?
So Google is a great service. Obviously, it's a massive service, but their job is essentially to know that businesses exist, but they just don't know that much about businesses beyond the category of the business. So that's actually a huge problem. The issue really is it's like the yellow pages of like the last century. Google knows that the brewery has beer, but Google does not know that the brewery has the various menu items at the brewery, like hummus or whatnot. So we have this issue of kind of a low resolution amount of information that Google has about businesses, but Google has given those businesses a way to solve that problem. And that the way that what Google's done is basically given these businesses the job of creating a website to index themselves, right? So the businesses have to create the data about their business in order to feed that to Google so that Google can then know it. Because if Google doesn't have that data, it can't learn all of the different things about a business. So the burden is...
And that's where like a lot of businesses, like, hey, I run a clothing store. I want to sell jeans. I run a mechanic shop. I want to turn a wrench. Yes. I'm a plumber. I want to plumb, but I don't want to figure out like indexing Google. That sounds hard. I don't want to mess with that. But there are marketing agencies that'll do it for me. There's all these other things, and I know this because they're calling me all the time about it.
Right. Correct. They're calling you up, hey, we can optimize your Google My Business listing, which is actually not as easy. It's actually a fairly complicated job, but it's also not very well optimized. Even Google's own listings are not that well optimized. And the third parties that are calling you about it are definitely sketchy. They're just calling you, like, ringing off the hook day and night, and they just want to, get some money off you and be gone. Whereas what you really want to do is essentially build a website, or what Google is kind of telling you need to do is like build out a website. And that means that you have to figure out who to hire to build a website. And you have to figure out the best way to get that information to Google, because Google's given every business this job of creating this website. And so if that's the case, then you're kind of stuck with that, what I call a digital chore, as like a local business owner. And what's happened is 25 years now after Google has started indexing the entire world, 2 out of 3 of our local businesses here in rural North Carolina, they just don't have any website at all, because the return on investment is they just don't see it. They're tearing their hair out. They're dealing with vendors. They can't figure out who to trust to build a storefront, to build a website. A really in-depth website that has as much information as a virtual storefront would be like 20 or 30 pages long, because it needs to have all of that data inside of it. So they've really been handed this almost unreasonable job by Google, because that's how Google says, hey, build a website. That's how we learn about your business.
Yeah, and so most of us aren't tech geniuses, and we're focused on other things. We can't spare the extra dollars to go and hire somebody to build this, unless one of our kids or neighbors or something is tech savvy. There's not a whole lot that we can really do in that situation. And so one thing I'd like to understand, though, about Google is there seems to be a disparity between that local Main Street business and the big box store, the national chain, the guys with deep pockets. Could you talk a little bit about, let's talk about the economics of Google and why that even is the case.
So Google has a big company problem, right? Because there are big companies. So they really are built for enterprise level use because they themselves are one of the biggest companies in the world. So companies like Walmart and companies like Lowe's and Home Depot and Applebee's, they all are, billion-dollar corporations. And what they want to do with specifically local search results, there's two different types of search results: local search results and then global search results. These businesses want to show up for like antique oil lamps in Murphy, North Carolina. Now, Walmart wants to show up number one for that item because they want everyone that wants an oil lamp to go to Walmart and buy it. And that's like essentially they have millions of dollars to make sure that they're showing up for thousands and thousands of terms in every local market that they have a store in, and even in local markets they don't have a store in, for example, with Amazon and Walmart online ordering. So they're just plugging. I mean, if you do a jeans search here in Andrews, North Carolina, it's flooded with e-commerce jeans results from all over the country for a local search. And that's because these businesses have very deep pockets to engineer their technology so that they show up in an Andrews local search when you're looking for jeans. And that's a huge problem that essentially when you build a website as a business owner, you're forced to compete with Walmart.com, and that's not a fair fight.
Yeah, it really isn't. And that's one of the things that we want to focus on is most of us, if we're living in a small rural area, it's because either we were born and raised there or that's where we want to be. Sure. We don't necessarily want to go to the big city unless we have to. And so we want our commerce to be local. We opened a local business. We want our customers to be local, and we just want to be found when somebody is looking for that using Google or however else they're using it. And so what are some ways that we can kind of level the playing field with these guys that have unlimited budgets that are competing with all of the local businesses?
Yeah, that's exactly the situation that we're talking about. Where I'm standing right now here in Andrews, North Carolina, it's a town of 1,700 people, but there's tons of customers in the hills around here that have as much money, have disposable income, retired people. They are not aware of what's here when they do searches or before virtual storefronts, it was much harder for them to be aware of what's here. But now when they search for a specific item, the virtual storefront will pop up for cast iron skillets here in Andrews, North Carolina. And they may not have known, one, that item is available in town, but it's available actually at 2 stores here in town. And then number 2, that business even exists because they don't drive through downtown and people are too distracted to know what's all around them. It's very hard to know. A lot of these businesses are hidden. So marketing 101 is, if the consumer does not know that you are there, they cannot go to your business and that you have what they want means that they can't walk into your business and make a purchase. So we're solving that problem by pushing these local businesses to the top of search results above the national chains in as many instances as we can for the things like the actual stuff and the services they offer, so that people who are doing online searches on these massive search engines are discovering that business exists right there in their community. And then they can walk in the door and make that purchase and make that conscious decision, because now they have the information that business is right there in your, it's in a local search because it's in proximity to you. You just walk in, you get it, and you boost up the local economy, and you make a purchase right there with with someone in your community. And that's a great choice.
And it's not necessarily like, oh, I had no idea this business existed. Sometimes you just have to be there when somebody's in a decision-making mode. For instance, there could be a store that has been in your town for 30 years, yes, and you didn't know they sold, this one thing that you need. But when you go and search for it, Joe's Emporium has it downtown. I'll just go there and get it. I've known Joe for 30 years. I didn't know he sold that.
That's absolutely the case. And then when they go on to it after a search and you click onto the storefront, you can see the whole list of keywords as a consumer and just learn basically at a glance what that business has. But what you're talking about is very true. Like, you don't necessarily know. I actually learned myself when I was keywording businesses that Nancy's Treasures has cast iron skillets. I had no idea because they're hidden. I've been in the store several times. They're hidden way in the back. And she has a very large inventory of this high quality, expensive item, and so it behooves everyone, right? So the fact that she has a virtual storefront helps the local shoppers discover something that they don't have to drive to Walmart and get an inferior product for, which is 15 miles down the road. So she's helping local shoppers, but she's also helping herself because she's informing local shoppers that they can come in and buy this high quality item right here in town.
So I think one thing that's important is we have to create a separation between a marketing company or a marketing service and a virtual storefront. So could you just first define a virtual storefront? Second, what is the difference between getting one of these and hiring a marketing company?
So a virtual storefront is kind of one of the things that's great about it is that it's a beginning. There's a beginning and end to the whole process, right? It's a simple landing page in technical speak, that's hosted with a bunch of other landing pages that are all curated local independent businesses in a single database. So where you're hosted is relevant because you're hosted right next to every other business is a non-chain independent business, which means that's really valuable data. So what we do is we create that virtual storefront, and we do it in about 7 days. It takes you about 5 minutes to order it. So your time commitment for kind of an all-in-one solution is almost non-existent. We just deliver these and then ask for either approval or edits, and then it's published and we submit it directly to search engines at that point. So the difference between that and a marketing company or engaging in AdWords, which is kind of the equivalent of what we do, where you have sponsored results that Google puts out there. A lot of the most competitive search terms like real estate and insurance, some of those AdWords are $50 per click. As in when anyone clicks on that search result, you pay $50. So
whether they do any business with you or not.
Yeah. Oh, they could just be your competitor, like hammering, making you pay $50. I mean, it's very, very expensive. And people are willing to do it because Google pushes you to the top of the results. What we're doing is we're taking the power of all of these local businesses, putting them all into a single database so that we give authoritative, high resolution, detailed information about these businesses. And then we serve that directly to Google so that the results are organic, which are better results. They're more trusted by consumers when they're organic. And as time moves forward, people will see the virtual storefronts logo and realize, hey, when I see virtual storefronts, I know that's a local independent business. I'm going to go with that one, so I'm looking forward to a future where as we become more known in the marketplace, people will look for a virtual storefront search result in Google in order to, because they know it's authentic data that these customers have opted in for. Versus, I mean, we're talking $2,000, $3,000 minimum for local SEO. It's called SEO, search engine optimization. So within the marketplace, $2,000 and $3,000 per month is what plumbers pay or electricians will pay in order to be discovered in local search results. So that is a huge expense. It's a very big expense. The technical aspects of it are off the charts. The back end, you do not want to go into the back end of Google AdWords. I never wanted to start a technology company, but I saw the need here, and it means that I have to go to those back ends. I have to go into as do you, Josh.
So in a way, what you've done with virtual storefronts is you've taken that process of getting ranked in local searches and all of the back end and the technology and the advertising and all that stuff, and you rolled it into a simple off the shelf, sign up here, we'll get you to show up for all the local searches that are relevant to whatever it is that you sell.
Yeah. We can't say all the local searches because we can't control what Google will spit back, but we can say that we can give Google all of that data, and that Google does not have access to that data all the time. So we're giving them, and we do find that we're showing up in a lot of search results. We started at 5,500 in January of 2023. We're up to around 70,000 per month now.
Yeah.
And
I think the example that you gave is the best example. The best way for Nancy to sell her cast iron skillets is to tell people that she has cast iron skillets for sale. And if she doesn't, then, we have to count on somebody coming to the store and walking all the way to the back. But if we put it on the internet, when people search for it locally, oh, Nancy has cast iron skillets. Great. I'll just go get one from her. I don't have to go all the way to Walmart or order it from Amazon or whatever. I can just go downtown.
Yes, yes, exactly. I like to say we're disrupting local search results for local businesses. Even you would think that local businesses would dominate local search results, but that's not the case. Google's really failed in its mission to deliver information about local businesses because they don't really know they know how to interact with Walmart.com because it's the same white collar workers working at both Google and they're all working together, but they don't have a tech department. Nancy's doesn't have a tech department. Nancy runs the store herself with her husband and has a couple of workers. She doesn't have a technology department. So we're the technology department that helps get Nancy into those local search results so that Nancy can be discovered by local shoppers.
Awesome. Just two quick questions. Who is this best for, and where can we go to learn more about it?
So it is best for it's a great tool for a lot of businesses. It's best for businesses that have lots of inventory. So if your business has many different things, and then there's also like lots of stuff, like an antique shop, like a gift shop or clothing, that's a real ideal fit because those keywords are very much that's really high quality data for Google to have. We also work with service businesses. If you do a search right now for like dock welding in Andrews, North Carolina, which is minimum $5,000, $10,000 job, our business, Andrews Exhaust and Welding, is the #1 search result. So it does work for service organizations as well. But if you if you have a business and you have a lot of stuff that you need to tell everyone around you in your local market about, a virtual storefront is ideal for you.
Great. And where can we go to learn more and get signed up?
So it's at virtualstorefronts.co. You can watch a short video there with me explaining it, and it's very simple to sign up. You just click the button, choose your subscription tier. It's a annual 2 years or 5-year subscription, and every subscription includes the building of the storefront. So you go there, you click, you order it, make your payment. You go to an order form that takes you about 5 minutes to fill out about your business. You fill that out, and then you hit submit. When you hit submit, that order is now in the queue, and we deliver that storefront to you. We assign it then to your merchant ambassador, and we deliver it. They build it out, and we deliver it in about 7 days to you for approval.
Awesome. Love that. So, hey, we're going to wrap up from here. Thanks for sharing this wisdom about how the Google works and how the advertising on Google and how we can really be competitive with it. So that's Tobin Brogunier. For those of you who are interested in learning more about virtual storefronts, see if it's a right fit for your business, you can go to virtualstorefronts.co. And if you have a question about how to increase your foot traffic, get more business, get more sales in the door, even in this economy, send that question to us, and we'd love to feature that on a future episode of these weekly sessions that we do to just kind of keep everybody informed about what's working right now to maximize sales in Main Street rural businesses. So I'm Josh Thomas. This is Tobin Brogunier. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Josh.